Hello everyone and welcome to the Parrot Teacher. I'm David and today's video is going to be discussing unconventional parrot training and bonding techniques. So these are techniques that you may not always hear about and you may not see used, and these are kind of developed by all sorts of different people, including us actually. We developed some ourselves and we thought we'd share some of these with you via this video. As a quick disclaimer before I start this video, some of these techniques should be used with caution because some of them could be risky if your parrot's not very bonded to you, and you should use them with common sense. You should use a bit of common sense when you're using these techniques, and always pair them with positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is going to be one of those things that will always help you when bonding or training your parrot. They have high treat motivation. If you know what their favourite treats are, like with Chip and his millet right here, you can achieve a lot more. It won't guarantee success, but it makes it a heck of a lot easier. The first technique I want to discuss is whispering to your bird. Now, a lot of people talk to their birds. Some people say it's silly. I think it's actually really good because even if they don't understand you, you are forming a bond with them and getting used to your vocalizations and sounds. But specifically, whispering to your bird can be very, very useful. It is good for encouraging calm and relaxation. I've got a little clip of baby Olive, which I'll show you just after this, which shows how she calms down and starts wanting to pet your pets when she's getting whispered to. It also encourages them to talk sometimes as well. Baby Olive likes to snuffle, as we call it, and talk when we whisper to her. It's a very good way of encouraging bonding. And I can whisper to Chip now, but there was a big bird just flew by. I don't think it would work in this context. But yeah, it's a very good way of encouraging calm, relaxation, and also just working on bonding and encouraging talking.
Hello. Hello, baby.
The next technique I want to discuss is something I call nose targeting or nose kissing, and this is a very useful technique for encouraging all sorts of things, but it is one that you should approach with extreme caution. Do not use this technique unless your parrot is at least basically target trained and you know you can trust them at least a little bit, because I don't want anyone getting their nose bitten off because they decide to nose target their macaw and shove their nose right in their face. So be very cautious with it. With nose targeting, I've got to explain a little bit about what you're actually doing here. Just like with target training, you're encouraging your parrot to touch something, but in this case it's the end of your nose. And I found this highly effective with Scampi when I was working on bonding exercises with him, because he used to be a big biter with me, but now he's very soft and very relaxed, which you'll see in a later clip. But the one way you can approach this with a bit of caution is you do it from extreme distance, and that is the easiest way of encouraging your parrot to bite softly, purely because they cannot bite at all because you're so far away. So lean in, do it from distance, and then encourage it, preferably after they've been target trained and with positive reinforcement. Now, nose targeting is very useful for bonding exercises, just like me and Scampi. It's very useful for almost like a form of soft targeting, like when you use a target stick to encourage them to bite softer. So you're doing that but with your nose. A bit riskier, but it worked wonders with Scampi. And just encouraging general gentle interactions. So encouraging your parrot to see you as something that's not to be nibbled or bitten hard, but someone to be approached softly, and that you're not going to react in a horrible way either, or react really loudly. So it's just a really useful technique for encouraging these sorts of behaviours.
Kiss, kiss. Kiss, kiss. Kiss, kiss.
Good girl. The next kind of unconventional technique, when I first saw it, I was a bit dubious about it, but we gave it a try during the bonding process with Pickles and Scampi and found it highly effective. Now, I can't take credit for this. This one was actually something we saw on Marley McCohen, and it's not something that's talked about very often, but I thought it was well worth mentioning this video because it is so useful. So with kiss bonding, it's kind of like encouraging the sharing of a person. So you have two parrots who may be a bit funny with each other, may even be a bit funny with you. You have them on each hand at a distance, and then you kiss one of them, then you kiss the other. And it's amazing how effective this is if it's done in a structured and constructive way and paired with a bit of positive reinforcement. You may need someone else to help you with a positive reinforcement, because obviously you'll have two birds on your hands. But it is a very useful technique, and we found it quite effective with bonding Pickles and Scampi. After the initial sort of approach where we're getting them used to being on the same space, we wanted them to be able to share us as well, and we found that very useful there. So again, this is a very useful technique for bonding two birds, general bonding with you as well, because it will encourage a stronger bond with you, because everyone's sort of doing a flock grooming activity, and also sharing a space, because that is one of the most important things when you're bonding two parrots. You want them to be able to share a space and not react aggressively or chase each other off. The other sort of mini benefit as well is if you do it long enough and it's working, then you may be able to encourage some preening interaction between the parrots as well, which is adorable, and when you reach that point it's very rewarding. Now this next technique isn't something that I would consider necessarily unconventional, but some people think is a bit silly, but I would suggest that it is really, really good actually, and that is just trying things in front of your parrot. Most of the time this will involve just like putting something to your nose or your mouth, like a liquid or a food you want them to try, and then encouraging them to try it afterwards. You can also do it with toys and all sorts of things, because your birds, if they're bonded to you, will see you as part of the flock. So if they see you trying new things, then they may be more encouraged to do so as well. And it's very good for all sorts of things. As I said, this is very useful for desensitization training. It's also exceptionally useful for encouraging play with new objects. And I think its best use is for encouraging eating or drinking things that you want them to. Maybe an AV&T or those veggies when you're doing diet conversion. It is very effective in these ways too. Very nice. Very nice. Good boy. Good boy. Very nice. You can try on here. Good boy. Good boy. Now my last unconventional technique is something we've been finding very effective with me and bonding with Kipling, and that is what we call nice boy and petting through the bars. Now we often encourage things like treating through the bars and rewarding through the bars and just being passive next to the cage when you're bonding with a parrot if there's any issues, or even when you just got them home, and these are highly effective. But we found with Mr. Kipling that nice boy has been very useful for me, and all it is literally encouraging him to come up to the bars and getting him used to being touched through the bars with my finger, and then pairing it with a positive reinforcement. Later on the behaviour becomes almost self-reinforcing, which we found in the evenings. So just as a little context, Kipling has been a bit aggressive towards me, and we're working on it now, which is improving very well. But since I started doing nice boy, when I put him to bed, because I normally do the bedtime routine, he actually demands that I pet him. He gets very fussy, very cross if I don't go around and then stop at his cage and then pet him before bed. And I don't know if it's very good for him if I have to do it all the time, or if I'm out, but it's really, really cute, and it's really, really good for our bond, and it does show some signs of improvement just through doing this behaviour. Now you may have heard Kipling saying good boy in some of the shorts and videos we show. The reason we call it nice boy is we wanted to distinguish it from that. It's also pairing it with the whispering to encourage calm and reinforcing it through the bars, and it's just been so, so good. Now you may want to employ this technique if you have a parrot who's a biter and you want to start pairing contact with fingers with a treat. You may want to use it for bonding work. You may want to use it for encouraging calm as well, because it's very effective there, especially paired with whispering. Now, why I use this with Kipling specifically is it gives me a safety margin of interaction, and it also gives me a safety margin to prevent him from getting overstimulated or overexcited. Because if he does bite down hard, I may make a sound, which I don't want to, and then it kind of ruins the training. So doing it through the cage makes things a lot safer for him and for me, and makes it all much more productive. Good boy. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this video useful and entertaining and educational. Any comments as usual, please feel free to leave them down below. Any unconventional techniques you find works for you, please do let me know. So I like to learn new things. But in the meantime, from me, Chip and Fish, take care and have a really good day.